Bum, 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 bum. Bum. Wop, 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 wop. Yeah, I want to cut out the Hodges. Go, yeah. Just like have it be one of our sound effects. Yeah.
Oh, well, I was watching Crowder the other night, and the Hodge twins were on. Let me adjust Cameron's frame a little bit. Good morning, everybody. The Hodge twins were on, and they said, "Yeah, we put the coon in conservative." And Crowder says, "Guys, there's only one O in conservative." And one of the Hodge twins says, "Yeah, but we twins. There's two of us." Like, that'll do, boys. That'll do.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
All right, good morning. And we got a few people watching this morning. I see Lindsay, I see Steve and Krista. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
We're gonna do our little WTF CCPNN this morning because, well, I mean, this article's just too good to pass up. I mean, for real, guys. I'm even gonna let the ad in so that you can see. Oh, the ad covers the headline. You sons of bitches. But let's just pump that up so you can see it. Oh, he's stupid with the ad. Killing me. There we go. How Biden plans to undo Trump's America First foreign policy and return U.S. to world stage.
Look,
Biden plans to undo America First.
Before we get into the specifics of this, and like you can't make this shit up.
No.
Just the general media malpractice in general. Boy, that was a super redundant sentence. Anyhow,
do you mean you said the same thing more than once and it wasn't useful?
Yeah, it happens very rarely, but it happens.
Like when the same thing being said more than once is less useful than it should have been?
Yeah, I think you've made the point. Thank you, Professor Lowry. So anyhow, just the fact that they're referring to him as president-elect. Ladies and gentlemen, he is not yet president. He is not yet president-elect.
Correct.
And the fact that he's being referred to president-elect is gaslighting of the highest order because he's not president-elect until the states certify the counts. And I heard a rumor from Rudy Giuliani that some of these states ain't going to certify their counts anytime soon.
Well, and more importantly, like, you know, under more normal circumstances, we could correctly say that he is not the president-elect until the states certify the counts. Because there are states that still have to recount. And when I say have to recount, I don't mean there are states where the count is so close that the president is well within the realm of reasonability to demand a recount. No. Like Georgia, for example, there is less than a 0.5% difference between the two candidates.
Under Georgia law, under Georgia law, that's an automatic recount.
Automatic recount. The president doesn't even have the option to not have a recount. And we're not the only state like that. So it's not just gaslighting. If anybody who's running the headline or using the language President-elect Joe Biden is lying. I'll be charitable. Is wrong. It's false news. It is an unfactual. It is a counterfactual claim.
I would say if it's your liberal aunt on Facebook, she's just wrong. I'd say if it's Brian Stelter, he's lying.
Steve says, my buddy Doug Collins has been asked by Trump admin to head Georgia recount oversight. And I don't know if I'd say my buddy Doug Collins. We've met and spoken a couple of times briefly at some rallies. It's not like I've been to lunch with the man.
Yet.
But things have been developing interestingly for your humble fake reporter. I say fake reporter.
Are you kidding? We're more honest journalists than any of those fuck shits over at Fox News or CNN or whatever. I mean, yeah, there was your F-bomb.
I am such an honest journalist. I am so much more honest a journalist than your journalists at Fox News and CNN and all your other leftist rags that I don't even call myself a journalist. There.
Look, we'll go back to Tim Pool real quick, and then we can actually spend a few minutes chewing into the ridiculousness of this article. I really trust Tim Pool. He gets things wrong, and sometimes he takes a guess, but this is what's important. He's honest about what his opinion is and the facts that he's using, and even doing things like at the beginning of the election cycle when he said, hey, I just want you to know, I contributed money to Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. It's like, you know what, Tim? Thanks.
And I mean, who wouldn't? I'd stick $1 in her G-string.
that's not exactly, but yeah, she's pretty lady. In fact, I was watching the Democrat debates.
Well, that's why she couldn't win the primary. Tulsi Gabbard, we've discussed this on the show before. Objectively, this isn't personal opinion. Objectively, as a matter of fact, Tulsi Gabbard's too hot to be the president.
Yeah, I was watching some of the Democrat debates with my daughter, and it flashed onto her, and she leaned over and was like, "Dad, she's gorgeous. Who's that?" Like that's Tulsi
Honestly,
Gabbard.
Though, I could kind of go for a Tulsi Gabbard presidency just because of the frickin' Disney villain white streak in her hair. Bitch needs a mustache to twirl.
But
and boy, wouldn't that check all the boxes.
But unfortunately, I don't have a ton of time. So, sir, please give us the article from CNN. Man, we've talked so many times before about how the left can't be honest, because when they're honest, they write articles like this, like, holy fuck, we're not going to put America first anymore. How stupid is that? China's going to put China first. England's going to put England first. France is going to put France first. I
mean, Cameron broke the barrier.
Oh, that was my fault. I got excited.
How dare you?
Sorry.
So, Joe Biden plans to undo the America First policy. Oh, buddy. Oh, let's talk about that. So, after 4 years of norm-bending, treaty-disrupting, and alliance-shaking foreign policy from the Trump administration, by the way, my voice is feeling a hell of a lot better. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is promising to return the U.S. to its more traditional role on the world stage. Oh, what role is that, Joe?
Oh, where we pay everybody else to fuck us without lube. That's the traditional role on the stage.
I suddenly wonder, God, I wish you could read the article for me so I could do things. I need an image here. I need an image, but I don't have it, so I'm going to have to make one later. The Joe Biden presidency will be signified not by a donkey, but rather by a man who's suffering from deep dementia and wearing a very formal, very nice, tailored, formal gimp suit. But Biden said he will make significant changes to U.S. foreign policy should he win Tuesday's presidential election. Yes, he's promised to eliminate our oil industry, guarantee that we fall back into dependency on foreign oil and the oil cartels. He will start shipping jobs back over to China. This isn't speculation. These are the things that he has promised to do, right? Without even getting into the whole obvious conspiracy that's going on that we're seeing the evidence for from the Hunter Biden laptop Um, where God, look, let's be clear. I don't think this has been touched on nearly correctly. The Biden laptop, what it exposes is not just that there's massive corruption in the Biden family, which probably touched the Obama presidency. What's being exposed by the evidence from the Biden laptop is that Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, using Hunter Biden as his proxy, and in conjunction with most probably, at a minimum, Obama, Clinton, and I mean, we got a list of contacts in this conspiracy from the laptop that includes Klobuchar, it includes Kamala Harris, it includes Cuomo and de Blasio, and the list goes, basically all the Democrats except for Tulsi Gabbard are in on the scam. And it looks like what's basically happening, if you pay close attention and read the money, the Democrats have all been taking money from China as bribes to forward the TPP. Think about that.
Yeah, and then the Democrat Party, the same Democrat Party, in fact, of which currently Joe Biden is the leader of, that said Republicans want to put y'all back in chains. It's not quite slave labor in China, but it's close enough to slave labor in China where you got to really raise an eyebrow. And this is not the time, to have the discussion about how an economy actually has to go through a transitionary period and people get used to making money and all that.
Or talk about how slave labor would be preferable for these people.
As opposed to just starving to death, which would be what would happen.
So if you're being paid what we refer to as slave wages, then what you have is roughly enough income that you get to make decisions every month on whether to pay the rent this month or keep the lights on or have food. If you're actually a slave,
all that's usually taken care of for you if you're a slave.
Exactly. If you're actually a slave, all that's paid for. That's all part of being a slave. The master has to keep you up to some extent, because if he doesn't and you die, he's out a slave. He's out a significant investment. Right?
Yeah, it's like not changing the oil in your car. But anyhow.
Right. Artificially deflated wages as a result of things like, making it politically popular to force women out of the home and into the workplace in order to artificially increase the labor supply without substantially increasing the labor demand so that you can cut wages by a functional 50%, although masking it through the function of inflation, whereby the U.S. dollar of 2020 is worth less than half of the U.S. dollar of only 20 years prior. But I'm just a fat guy with a beard. I don't know anything.
Right. But no, what's funny is just even the headline itself. We're not going to put America first. These are your Democrats. When guys like Chris and I say there's an active component on the left that seeks to cause harm to our side, that's not just hyperbole because it makes for entertaining content. It is because they have been brainwashed from kindergarten up through college to see America as the problem. America is deeply flawed. The rest of the world would be a better place if we were a little less powerful. And they'll accomplish this by any means necessary. And
Bam!
I think they've gotten so far out over their skis. Like, I remember for a brief time during Obama's first 4-year period, when all of a sudden these leftists, they'd call themselves socialists without blushing. And you remember the Time magazine cover, "We're all socialists now," and whatever. Boy, that backfired, because that whole Tea Party thing came into power and basically neutered Obama's presidency from that point forward. I think a similar thing is happening now. They're getting out over their skis. They think they've stole the election for Joe Biden. And yes, I am unequivocally stating that this is theft. Okay, like this was theft. Like, woo, it was theft. But they think they've stole the election for Joe Biden. They think it's going to be nearly impossible to undo what was done because doing things like backdating ballots and mixing them in with appropriately counted ballots, I mean, that's going to be like a serious Gordian fucking knot to untangle. But doesn't mean it's not doable. But they think they've got it locked up, and they don't. They do not. Until these states certify these elections, there ain't shit locked up. Nothing. Are the comments really that good? I'm sad I can't see them this morning.
Well, they're okay. So we've been at it for 20 minutes. We've done enough with this article. We see the headline. We read the first little bit of it. The article's bullshit. This is a bunch of shitty leftists doing shitty lefty things. So I'm just going to talk about the comments and some upcoming stuff real quick, and then we'll call it a day because Cameron's got to get going and get back to work.
Yeah.
So over in the comments, they're talking about Orwell as a prophet, reading Fahrenheit 451 and Animal
Brave New
Farm.
World.
And hang on a minute, don't get ahead of me. they're talking about reading the classics, Fahrenheit 451, Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies, and those. And Steve said something about rereading Brave New World, so I just went ahead and threw it in the. I was saying it in the comments, but I'll say it here. So we've been setting up over here, building a set and getting everything ready to rock and roll to start doing the Book Fire Mind for real. The Book Fire Mind, here's the kind of the general idea of the format. I am going to sit down and read the book from cover to cover. One chapter at a time. I'll take breaks between chapters, but I'm just going to sit down and read the book straight through, cover to cover, and I'll release each chapter as its own video with commentary on the chapter, right? That way we can treat the book, we can give it a good treatment, we can dig into some of the really particular things, like one of the things in Brave New World that I want to talk about is how it's the law in the Brave New World that people are encouraged to invent new sports, but it's the law that if you're going to invent a new sport, it must require at least one more piece of apparatus than any sports that exist prior to it, or you won't be allowed to market the sport, precisely because everything's about driving consumerism. And there's this great scene where one of the characters is up on the roof and he has to ask some of the underlings, some of the gammas, to go and pull his plane out so he could take off and fly. And as I was reading that, it occurs to me, it occurred to me that we see this thing that happens in actual communism because the government has to guarantee that everybody has a job. And suddenly the horror of that really struck me. So Tim Pool was talking about it the other day. He was in one of these shitty countries. And he tried to get a cell phone, and the process of getting a cell phone, he had to go to one person and say, "I want to buy a cell phone," and they said, "Okay, well here's a document. You need to take this document and fill it out, and then turn it over to this person, and then this person will give you the slip of paper that you need to take to the other person so you can buy the phone, and then when you go and buy the phone, then you have to go to another person." And it was like there were like 8 people that he had to stop and fill out a piece of paperwork with so that he could get a cell phone, just a cheap little burner phone with service on it. And it's because, since the government has to provide jobs for everybody, they just make shit up. They just make up these ridiculous extra jobs that they stick in that slow down the process, and they only exist so that there's a job for somebody that wouldn't otherwise have one. Well, and as I was reading Brave New World, where they literally clone people, they generate people to fill these jobs. Here's the thing that occurred to me. You get the government doing this thing where they have to guarantee a job for everybody, so they start creating jobs where they have too many people. They don't have enough jobs to go around for everybody, so they start creating new jobs that are useless jobs to put these people in. What happens when those people die? It's government. Do they delete the job? No. They're going to keep filling the job. They're going to keep adding people to fill the job. Before long, you come to a place where you have more people than jobs, so you can create more jobs. And then all of a sudden, you just have a few jobs that don't have people in them, so you feel the need to bring people in. So you open the border to bring people in to fill those jobs, and you get more people than you have jobs, and you get this vicious cycle where the creation of useless jobs continuously demands the addition of useless people. As if communism wasn't just ready to collapse on its own under the weight of the massive and intrusive bureaucracy that it requires. Without that, once you add that element as well, and this is a conversation, I've just generated about 5 minutes of dialogue off of discussing literally about 3 sentences of this book, just to kind of give you an idea of where my head's at for the production of this campaign. Now, whether or not Joe Biden wins, the fact of the matter is we have the Democrats now already talking about truth and reconciliation and doing things to track Trump voters. What they call it, the Trump Accountability Project is about to be a thing. So, good morning. Hey, we got Danny has joined us. Good morning. Patrick's joined us. Good morning. I see Zaluska the Slav. I need to talk to you soon, brother. Give me a call when you get a chance after I'm off the air this morning, if you can stay awake for a little while. But the censorship thing is about to be a very big deal. So the objective of the Bookfire Mind is to not only to treat these books and really discuss the topics of them and the timelessness and the dark portents that these books have given us, and the terrifying warnings that these books have given us.
Yeah, Brave New World, the tyranny of absolute happiness.
Yeah, and hey, one of the things to keep in mind with several of these books, like, I mean, Orwell and Huxley, they were socialists. They thought that what was going to lead us to the scary dystopian futures that they saw was something more akin to capitalism. And we're seeing that, no, Huxley's understanding of capitalism was deeply flawed, but his understanding of the propensity of the tyrannical state to overtake basically human freedom is almost a foregone conclusion. We'll be having a lot of interesting conversations with that. And for each book that we treat, I will be including in every episode on each book. All the videos about Brave New World will be in one playlist. And the description under every episode about Brave New World will have a link to a copy of the Brave New World. It'll have at least 2 links. It'll have a link to a relatively affordable copy, a cheap copy, like mine's upstairs. Something in the $10 or less range, and it'll have a link to a very nice copy, like the copy that we linked for The Art of War. Which, by the way, thanks guys. Several of you bought a copy of The Art of War. Eventually I'll get a check from Amazon for that. I think they owe me like $8.
I'm coming up on a hard break, buddy.
All right, brother. So look for that. I will be starting on the reading of Brave New World first thing tomorrow morning after we get off of this show. And I mean, it'll take a few days after I got to read it, and then I got to edit it, and then we got.
Hey, everybody, keep the faith. It ain't over. I ain't heard no fat lady.
That's right. Joe Biden. Not only is it still possible for the results as they're being reported to be reversed. God, we didn't even get deep into the just utter media malfeasance that has been this election cycle. What the media has done, including Fox News, who you should absolutely just switch off. Fox News is...
They basically have Laura Ingraham, Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Greg Gutfeld, and the rest of them are compromised pieces of shit. Maybe Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters.
But otherwise...
Fox News is worse than CNN. Because because they affect to maintain the patina of conservatism and fair and balance. Because Fox News so CNN is worse than MSNBC because CNN pretends like it's not MSNBC. And Fox News similarly is pretending like it's not CNN. And the handful of decent personalities that you have at Fox News, like Tucker Carlson, who, by the way, has his own YouTube channel, so if you still want to watch Tucker, go for it. But they're basically mastheads so that Fox News can pretend like the rest of its content is not that garbage. So, all right. Good show. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We love you. Thanks for watching. We're out.